Hey, it's Honeygregory again, and guess what it is tonight? It is Honey Goes to the Drive-In with my favorite special guest co-host kind of guy. You know Bronson. Everybody knows Bronson and loves Bronson. Woohoo! Woo, woo, woo. Go Bronson! And as usual, Bronson has brought a really super nice guy who is his friend, who is his partner in crime, in merchandising, and has he got a tale to tell you about how he got to where he is today. So you're going to be inspired. It's going to be funny. And I think we might even have some cocktails. We usually do because we're having fun. So stay tuned. Here we go. Hi, I'm Honeygregory, and welcome to my podcast, Perpetual Learning, and Honey Goes to Drive-In. And anytime I have my friend Bronson and his favorite people on here, I always do Honey the Drive-In because we're going to talk about who knows what, some fun stuff tonight. So I want to welcome my guest, my co-host, Bronson.
Hello.
And my new friend, Steve Leonard, who has got some amazing stories to tell us tonight. So go ahead, Bronson. Tell us about this amazing guest that you wanted to bring on tonight. Oh,
Well,
and I forgot. Wait a minute. Forgot. Everybody got their cocktail?
I've got my cocktail coming.
Oh, the bartender's at it, huh?
Yep.
Diet Cola. You guys told me we're having cocktails.
Nobody told me.
I even brought out my fave here.
You don't know what's in the can.
It could be anything. It is. Oh, it's a secret. Oh, okay.
Diet Cola surprise. It's even the generic version. So it's like sip freely. That's what it says. Big K.
Oh, goodness. All right. Sorry, Bronson. I forgot about the cocktails. So go ahead. Tell us all about Steve.
Now, I don't know specifically, but Steve and I met, I believe, at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention a while back. Steve, you may know better than me, 10 to 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, I think their second or third year, maybe they were doing it.
Yeah. Anyway, we became fast friends, and I quickly learned that Steve was already quite involved with the pop culture phenomenon and Comic-Cons and everything. And he started coming to my wrestling show when I still had it. And we just honestly became really fast friends. And now we're road dogs together. And we've been having a blast for the last 3 years.
Now, y'all are partners, right? Partners in crime, partners in business.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a funny story in itself. So one of the things we sell at our booth are these little VHS clutch purses that, are taking off a little bit. And it's funny because when we first started selling them, we're a couple of pretty good looking guys, I think. And we're standing there and people are walking by, and I would always refer to him. I'd say, yeah, me and my partner here, we never thought about it. We sold more purses. And then we realized that I think 3 Comic-Cons in, we're like, they probably think we're an actual couple.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Because we were always like, look at our purses, check them out.
Oh,
Me and my partner here, we make them.
My partner. Yeah,
I never thought of that. Just like, I was thinking business partner, but I didn't say the business part. So,
well, and just real quick, first cat of the night. Steve, anytime me and Michelle do this, there's always a cat that gets involved. And now look, here she comes.
Yeah, I saw.
There we go. Cat going by.
I saw the little tail go by, and I was trying not to laugh, but I couldn't help myself.
Oksana, please. But yeah, no, me and Steve, I think it was SpaCon where it hit us that we were saying partner. And nothing against that community, but me and Steve are both married. But it caught us like, oh gosh, these ladies are. I said, Steve, these guys want to take us out to dinner, and they think we're so sweet, and that they love us selling these purses. And we were like, we better start saying business partner.
Well, I never got that impression being around you guys, but now that you tell me, I thought, well, maybe I could see it.
I honestly don't see how anybody could get that impression being around me and Steve, but
Well, there's macho guys that are
that's
also
true.
gay,
Yeah.
So
Like the
takes
bar
all
from Police
kinds.
Academy,
Yep.
the Blue Oyster.
Yeah.
So what gave you guys the idea to start doing a booth?
Together, I
Yeah.
was already doing it.
Oh, okay.
And then, I had this idea and went to Steve, and then we honestly, I don't know if we originally planned on being partners. We just did a couple of shows together, and it just kind of, I think it was Days of the Dead Atlanta, where within 5 minutes, I looked at Steve and I said, "Oh, we've got a hit. We've got a hit with these purses."
Yeah.
And he was like, let's wait and we'll see. And then about 15 minutes later, I think he realized we did have a hit.
Yeah, the
And
purses are great. I should have brought one up here. I can't reach them. They're on the other side over there with all my con stuff, but I love my purse. They're really cool. I should start wearing one around town. I don't even know why I don't. Why don't I?
Well,
why don't I do that?
I know Hannah Fairman's going to be on your podcast sometime coming up whenever she's
Oh, that'd
available.
be great.
She's very busy.
You doing her purse too?
Steve did a custom purse for her in Vet City, where it had her movie
Ooh.
VHS and her movie Siren on the other side.
Steve, you're so talented. Now, so who made up the idea of the purse and who created it? What happened there? Who's got one? Anybody got one? You got Bronson? You got one? Brandy, where's the purse?
A purse.
Oh, got it.
She's coming.
Where's your assistant? Where's your boss?
Well, I think Steve had created something else. It was our VHS magnets.
Okay.
He had an idea for.
That's a great idea.
And
That's a good story.
Those are so cute. Now show everybody the handle.
Yep. And this one, Steve actually did custom for the girls.
Aww.
The younger girls from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, those are cute.
So this is the only VHS version of Hocus Pocus in the Hocus Pocus 2 in the world. And it's just, Steve did it, and you just pop it open, and then you can take it. And this is actually signed by Taylor Page Henderson, Nina Kitchens, and Juju. I forget her last name. Juju, the 3 girls from Hocus Pocus 2. But you just flip it, and it's the original Hocus Pocus on the back. But it was originally like kind of a mixture of ideas. I saw that Stevie created the VHS magnet things. And I said, well, what if we turn these into purses? And he said, give me a couple weeks. And that's absolutely one of my favorite things about Steve is if I have an idea, he can usually make it happen.
Yeah. Didn't Brandy say, get these bloody empty things out of here?
Yes.
Wasn't there some story behind that? Like Brandy's like, do some of those.
Yes.
Where's the boss lady?
The boss lady. She's running around. She's about to make some homemade pizzas. But anyway, it was just a bunch of VHS and cases. And she was like, well, you got to start getting this stuff out of the house and move this around. And anyway, as always, she's the boss lady. So that's what we did. And then me and Steve started running the roads together, man. And it's an escape, like me and you and Felissa Rose talked about.
Yeah.
Going to these conventions is an escape. Like
it's
Steve,
nice to get out of your normal routine, So Steve,
exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me, now you're an engineer, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm an engineer, been engineer since 23 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. And what did you do before that?
I graduated college and I basically was an engineering technician and went on into engineer. So I've been that pretty much my whole time since my whole career after
for
college.
Some reason, didn't you tell me though that you were like doing some promotions and I don't know, something else, conventions and promotions or something?
One of the things that I like to do, and I discovered this about me, and I realized I'd get into a lot of different interests over the years. And what it boils down to is I like to have fun, right? I'm trying to have fun. I get into all sorts of things. And sometimes I'm not afraid to try new things. I'm pretty adventurous. So I get in there probably to my own detriment in some cases, like with crypto, which we're not going to talk about right now. But
yeah, it's kind of tanked, hasn't it?
But when I moved to Tennessee, I kind of got into going to conventions first as just an attendee, and I would go just for a day. And there was a local one in Memphis, and it'd been running forever, and I kind of got the taste of it a little bit. Now they weren't they weren't like the big expos bringing the big celebrities. It was more of a bunch of friends getting together, what I would call a hangout convention type. Been
Mm.
doing it forever. They were nonprofit. They were a true nonprofit, so they took all the money they made and rolled it to charity.
Oh, nice.
And I would go there for a day or two, and then just a day, and then go back when it was stay. But it was kind of cool because one time I stayed the whole weekend, and I got to go to some of the panels, the costume contests, and everything else. And that's when I got into the costume bug. So
Ah, so
I,
you're a
I
cosplayer too, then, huh?
yeah,
I
I
haven't
started
seen
off
that
by,
side of you yet.
well, I got threatening to bring Zombie Bob this weekend, Lobo, to
Zombie
the biscuit
Bob.
market, but I don't know if what they think about it. But yeah, so I got into the costume side of it first, and because I watched the masquerade, and what a masquerade is at a convention is like it's a costume contest. But you get to do a skit and you get to do some music, put it together, and it was kind of cool. I enjoyed it, and I was like, I could do something like that. So then I started trying to make costumes, and the first one I did was a Cobra Commander one, which is somewhere in storage now. But anyway, got into that, started trying to build costumes, and learned by trial and error what not to do first. I know the stove is hot because my hand is burned in several places, but over time, I just got to where I would get better at it, and I was trying to enter a masquerade. And then I did a Ghostbuster costume, and I started off just going to this one convention, Mid South Con, for a few years, and then after building a costume and going to it, winning an award for the Ghostbuster stuff that I did, then I was like, hey, I want to go to some of these other conventions. It's kind of like you want to show off, hey, look what I did. I want to go. And so then I started going to other conventions pretty regularly. And then like MCFC, like Bronson talked about, started up. And I knew people from one convention, and a lot of them go to other conventions. And so it grew from going to one, just doing a costume contest, to actually joining a costume Ghostbusters group.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we'd get tables at other conventions. We actually brought Ernie Hudson into a convention in Nashville. We helped make that happen.
Cool.
But it kind of grew from there, because then you're doing the costuming and the going to multiple conventions year after year, and you start to learn the organizers and the people that put it on.
Yeah.
And that's how I built up like a big network that I have now, just from doing it for so many years, of people I know, still people in
Wow.
Huntsville,
I
in
need you to help
Memphis.
me. I need you to help me. You got to help me. I need me some handsome men helping me promote me. That's what I need.
Yeah, we just got to get you out of there. You got all the talent in the world. You just got to get something, get you out there. I'm serious.
I don't know how. That's why I need you, man. I need you.
Yeah,
I need you to
yeah.
be my Superman. Help me out.
We got to do it, because you got too much talent. You know,
You're
you-
so sweet.
it.
I'm getting
You
bored
try-
over here. It's time. I'm not getting any
we
younger, and I'm getting bored. So I need some help.
Exactly. I mean, me and Steve both in the last week or so just turned 50.
Oh, don't even talk to me. I turned
Uh,
60 a couple of months ago, so don't even start talking to me. Y'all are babies. Y'all are just
oh,
babies.
but and Steve, I, honey, I don't know if you're a big fan of Doctor Who, but he was also, didn't you help Steve with the people that were running the Doctor Who convention?
Yeah, the one in Huntsville that started up, it was Con Castorboris, or Castorboris, as Bonnie likes to say, the lady who run it. We started off um, first couple years doing some costumes for that. I built a Silence, which is like an alien creature that was pretty cool,
Cool.
and I brought it to her convention. And one of the things I would do at some of these conventions when I'd get to know them, I actually would sometimes go in at the costume thing, but then I'd also volunteer. So like if I was going to be there in costume working a table, I might help volunteer when I'm not, or whatever
Yeah.
else. And I got to know that side of it too, volunteering at some conventions, just helping out. And that's what I kind of did there the first few years, help her. She needed to set things up, get there the day before, move stuff around, and just got to know her. And it was a small con that grew and grew, and it was like a family when you first started out, which a lot of them are.
Yeah. That's what's nice about it. Cause I even see like mom, dad, 5 kids, and they're all loading stuff up and dragging stuff in and out. It's so nice.
But yeah, eventually,
Mhm.
Bonnie, she ran a great con. She had run some cons before then. Actually, when I was trying to help my buddy here in Jackson run one, I pulled from a lot of her experience and some other people I knew. That was one of the things when I was going to try to run one. I had so many people that I knew that put them on that I could learn their lessons learned is what I would call it.
Mhm.
What about this guest? Oh no, you don't want them. They're a diva. Or yeah, this guest is pretty good, but they want too much money.
Mm.
You learn a lot by talking to people who, you know, put on these shows. And, I think the world of her and Lori both, they put on a great show for all these years. But, you know, between COVID, some
Mm.
stuff happened with, her folks' health passing away. And I mean, just, she finally had one last year. It was like the last farewell, convention, but it had been several years prior when, you know, there was a gap there.
Yeah.
So it was a great convention. We enjoyed it. We still keep in contact with all these people today. And that's one of the things about going to these. I like a lot of these conventions, and Bronson and I have talked about this, especially horror conventions. You seem to meet a lot of people, and everybody seems to be, for the most part, they're into things. They're genuine. They seem to be into the same things. It just seems like you click more with people
Yeah,
at
you have a
conventions.
common interest. Yeah, you have a common
Right.
interest. Yeah.
And I made a lot of friends. I made celebrity friends, other people
Yeah.
just from being myself, at conventions, and just like I said, liking to have fun. When you project that energy, it comes across, and everybody's more relaxed around you when you're doing that.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I had gone to the mine just went blank. Is it the Horror Hound 2009, 2010
Yes.
with Joe Bob? And that was so much fun. And even then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could do this all the time." But what do you guys think of the economy right now? I mean, it seems like things have kind of slowed down. There's so many conventions. Like every time I turn around, someone's like, "I'm going here, I'm going there." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's like 500 going on at one time." Just seems like everything's getting a little too much.
Yeah, that I see. Now, some people disagree with me. They think that there's always a fandom for this, but I feel like there's too many in this economy.
Mm,
Um, People just don't have that extra money to spend.
yeah.
And some people and vendors and celebrities I've talked to disagree with me, but I still think there's too many. It's just what happened in Bowling Green, where me and Steve went. 30 minutes, 40 minutes away, there was another horror convention, and there's
Mm,
nothing against either convention or who runs it.
right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
But they were running the same weekend,
Yeah.
and they were both basically horror cons. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people have to decide which one are we going to go to and which one are we going to spend our money at.
Yeah, because
And
even
so
when
I know
I heard,
you were wanting to come to Bowling Green, and me and
yeah,
Steve actually talked about it Sunday. We're glad. We hate that we missed you and to get to hang out with you, but it was really slow, especially on Sunday. And like I said, nothing against either one of those
yeah.
conventions.
Well, the one
It's
we
just
did, and the one I came and visited you guys in Evansville was really
uh-huh.
slow last year. So I guess it was kind of that sort of situation.
Yeah, well, it was actually there was one in Evansville. It was the
Hmm.
same people that run Evansville. They were doing the Evansville Horror Con the same
Yeah,
weekend.
that one I think would have been fun. I think that would have been fun, but
You're splitting. You had people deciding where we're going to go spend
hmm.
our money at.
Well, that's funny because when I was telling you, like, oh, I might get up that morning and just take off for the day, because Hannah's always busy or whatever. But then I always worried, is she all right or whatever? But, mama, me. But I was thinking, oh, I could go to Evansville 'cause that's like 2 hours. I could hang out because, they're small. So I can hang out for a couple hours. Then I could drive 45 minutes over to Bowling Green, hang out with you guys for a little bit. And then I could head home. I could do both in one day. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that he touched on that was kind of interesting when I was trying to run one with some people, you have two cons on the same weekend, and what was nice about this area when I was working with folks, people in Memphis, Huntsville, Nashville, etc., because we all knew each other, we tried to coordinate our events so that that didn't happen. I'm not saying that it could have, because you've got venues that maybe only have certain dates or maybe certain things that happen. But I feel like that's something that those guys, and they probably talked about it, who knows? But like, especially local cons, the big San Diego Comic Cons, the New York Comic Con, those guys are going to have the money and the whatever else. But if those smaller cons, particularly like, I know Memphis here in Jackson, if you run them again, if you work with people, you can kind of minimize that. But I don't think at the end of the day, I think what you touched on with the economy is really, we started seeing it about the middle of last year.
Yeah.
You can just tell that attendance is down. You've got vendors that don't even show up for their table that they paid for.
Oh my goodness.
And if attendees come in, they're not buying as much. And I think it's a sign of the economy. I do think, like Bronson mentioned, that there probably are too many, especially now. I've
Mhm.
seen it go from, in the probably 20 years I've been doing this, I've seen it go from one or two in Memphis at one time to like five or six or seven,
At
and that's
one
just
time.
Memphis.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people get in there and they see it. And I know this was true with, a friend of mine I was helping. We were trying to run one here in Jackson. I got a Joe Bob story to tie in with that a little bit. Um, but I was trying to tell him the, you can't just San Diego and New York, man, people start hearing about that. It started getting more popular. Like, oh my gosh, look at all these people waiting in line for years to buy them. Look at all this
Mhm.
money and money. You can't just run Comic Con and put a guest or two out there and then expect to make a lot of money, right? You have to, a lot of work goes into that.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
would love to do something, but the economy right now has got me a little scared. And I think I talked to you once about it, Bronson. I would love to do a thing where we get one of those historic old theaters, you know, and show a movie like a double feature on the weekend, and sell tickets and have people there sign autographs. I did that once with Joe Bob. He was actually here in town where I live, and they had him MC some movies and had a panel of people there from the movie. And it wasn't quite as expensive and a big production, a big ordeal, but it packed. There was a lot of people there, and I think it would be more economical for people and be a lot of fun.
And I think that's a good idea, especially for you and to MC. And as we all know, honey, in this circle, you don't know as much about some of the trashier horror movies. So you could have a host like me or Steve
No, I
talk
mean,
about that. But
I'm
I
all
think that's a good,
for having a panel of people up there, because you know that I don't like those super spooky ones and the bloody gory
yeah.
ones. You know that. And
But
I was actually asked last year to come and co-host one, but it was I watched part of the movie, and 10 minutes in I was like, this ain't me. I cannot watch this 4 or 5 times and take notes to go MC, because it was just so demonic for me and so bloody, gory, gross that I'm like, I don't want to see that over and over again. For me, that was just negative
yeah,
for me, and I wasn't going to do it. But I am
but
fine with having you guys watch it a bunch of times, and
that's actually
because
not
you
a
guys
bad
love it.
idea though. Having the theater, maybe a
Mhm.
couple of vendors, some Q&A, something
Yep.
like that, something small.
Yeah.
It doesn't
More
cost a lot of money.
affordable, because
Yeah,
the conventions are like, people get there on Thursday, they get up the crack of dawn on Friday, and they get their booths all set up, and then it's Friday evening and Friday all night stuff, and all day Saturday and Saturday night and half the day on Sunday, and that's got to be a lot of work and extremely expensive to put on. And then for no one to show up. I mean, you know,
Yeah, the only thing about renting a theater is if you'd have to use one that's not currently showing movies, because what they do And I've been going to the Riff Tracks thing for years and years, and they do the Riff Tracks live where they do it at the Bell Court on Thursdays. And the reason they do it on Thursdays is because the theaters will have the new releases on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So you'd have to do your theater event probably someday during the week.
Well, I know that some of the historical
Because
courthouses around here, they don't focus on showing the new releases that much. They might say, okay, we'll do 1 or 2 of the new releases for the month, but they still show other things. I mean, I think it's called the
right.
Tivoli, something like that. It's about 30 minutes from me. And, they have, and people do rent that out for events and other things. So I know it's possible. The Buskirk Chumley here in town, they do the same thing. That's where they had the horror film fest. And that was a Friday, Saturday thing that they did. A local group of people put on and had Joe Bob come in. So, I mean, I know that they do it. You just have to get on the calendar ahead of time because they have, like the local ones here, they have live performances. They have special events for companies. Non-for-profits have special fundraisers. I know that it's not the historical ones are not as focused as like the AMC or Royal or whatever
Right.
the other ones are.
A lot of plays and
Yeah.
local musicals too.
Yeah. School
Like in
productions.
Covington.
Yeah.
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 Well, just
Yeah.
really close to me and Brandy and Steve, I know we have the Ruffin Theater in Covington, which does things like that. It doesn't show new releases. You can do events there. There's the Evergreen Theater in Memphis. So there are places to do it. A lot of people are trying to save just what Joe Bob does with drive-ins. He's all about saving the drive-ins, and there are a lot of people that are focused on saving these old theaters.
I've been trying
and keeping them there.
I've been trying to get an introduction to the guy that owns because it's changed hands a couple times, but the guy that owns the local drive-in here, because why not because every time I go to the drive-in, there's 5 cars to 50 cars, depending on the movie. Why not have some people there who'd MC and have some vendors and some food trucks and I don't know, some fun stuff going on to draw more people in. Why not? Be fun.
Make an event there. The drive-in here in Memphis does that. It's the
Honey, go to the drive-in.
They call it the Time Warp.
Yeah,
go to the drive-in.
Honey,
And the people in Memphis at the Time Warp Drive-In on Summer Avenue, they do like specialty nights where it's John Carpenter movies or zombie movies or stoner movies, whatever. And I think that's really good. I think they have live bands at some of those. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that drive-in's still around. Joe Bob did a thing at the event you were at, the Jamboree in Memphis.
The Jamboree. That's what I'm talking about. Something exactly like that because,
yes.
But yeah, that was fun. It was really fun. And I think people, well, heck, the place was packed. People would love it. I mean, everybody loves Joe Bob, but it was packed. So, but I had another idea. Now, I know Bronson, but I don't know about Steve. The wrestling stuff. Steve, are you involved in the wrestling and promoting wrestling? Because why couldn't we do an event where there's something going on with something like that too? I mean, we got to come up with some ideas.
I mean, you can. One of my good close friends, and he passed away a couple years ago, was a
just like you guys know, we got 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes.
Very, very well-known promoter in this area, and his, people have differences of opinions with him or whatever, but I got to know him. I was actually at Paul Bearer's funeral. Burt Prentice was his name, and he's a pretty big, well-known wrestling promoter in this area. And I've worked with a lot of independent promotions and other promotions. And a wrestling event, I know people that are getting ready to try to put one on, maybe in either Jackson or possibly Brownsville. So I know some people that could possibly get a wrestling event together. For me, that's kind of easier to get pulled together than a Comic-Con, just because of all the wrestling people that I've gotten to know through that experience. But I don't know how you would tie that into um, the drive-in theater or whatever. And we've done wrestling things before where we brought guests. When we did the zombie walk, I brought Santiago and a couple of the guests from the zombie walk over to the promotion that Bronson was running, New Breed. And I mean, there's ways to go about it and have celebrities and guests there, sponsors, etc. And I could talk to those people. I'm sure if there was an event, I think it would be cool to try to tie the drive-in or the vendor part or something else into it to where it's more than just a wrestling show. Because I
Yeah.
think you have
Well, heck, you
WrestleCon,
can set up a ring right there in the middle of the drive-in. I
Yeah,
mean,
That's
you,
true.
you can put a
Yeah,
wrestling ring up, and then we could
Uh,
wrestle and watch a movie. I don't know.
Okay. Well, a couple things, Steve. I just found that DVD of the night that Santiago Cirillo, our friend from The Walking Dead, who should be doing your podcast very soon. I'm gonna
Oh,
start
cool.
talking money.
All
But it
right.
was the night that Steve came. We had the big 10-foot tall zombie. So me and Brandy were doing our characters Living Dead Girl and Captain Spaulding, and we were fighting 5 individuals called the Monster Mash. It was like the
Oh my
Wolfman, the Butcher, and blah blah blah. Well, of course, 2 on 5, and Santiago brings out Black Widow and Project 6 and Zombie Bob and a 10-foot tall zombie.
Were you
And
dressed up?
it was the Steve did his Zombie Bob is an amazing cosplay.
Awesome.
But it was the first match of the night, and it was so chaotic. Like I hadn't seen it in years, and the announcers were like, "Holy crap, that was the first match! Like, what are we gonna do after that?" But I also want to mention one other thing, and I can't remember what it's called. It used to be called, I think it's called GalaxyCon, and it used to be called MegaCon Miami. So it's Comic-Con, 70, 80,000 people, but they have live wrestling. But the wrestlers are Skeletor versus a Power Ranger,
Oh, how funny.
or Freddy Krueger versus He-Man,
Nice.
or Cobra Commander versus Batman. And it's really cool. So they put the wrestlers into these cosplays,
Mhm.
and it's so cool.
That
It's
sounds
kind
fun.
of like me and Steve know this. There was a wrestling promotion called Chikara, and remember Chikara, Steve?
absolutely.
I loved Chikara because, okay, I'm just going to mention one thing, honey. So a lot of times in like hardcore matches, they'll bring out thumbtacks, real thumbtacks,
What?
pull them in the ring, and people get. But anyway, they had these clowns or somebody, and they came out. I think they were clowns, right, Steve?
Yeah.
And they got the bag out, and you're like, oh shit, here comes the thumbtacks, and it was sprinkles.
Oh,
But when the guys hit the sprinkles, they acted like it hurt just as much as the thumbtacks.
that's
And that was
funny.
one of the things I loved about Chikara. So that's maybe an idea the 3 of us could start
Yeah,
working
let's
on.
do something. That'd be
Let's do
fun.
something fun.
You guys are just way too talented and have way too much information not to. I mean, I'm just the girl that's going to show up and say, yeah. But you guys are the smart ones. I mean,
I do want to mention one thing about me and Steve.
Uh-huh.
Way before we met, probably. I'm going to say 18 years at least before we ever met. Maybe a little bit less. But Steve, I think was it your first job in Camden? Out of college?
Yeah, first job in Camden.
His first job in Camden, Arkansas, he was working with my sister, Tanya Michelle, and my brother-in-law, Alan. And at the time, before he passed away, my dad was still there.
Wow.
It was Tracor Aerospace, right, Steve?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it was Atlantic Research, Sequa. It's part of Sequa. It was an aerospace company.
Part of the United States Defense Department.
That is crazy.
So my dad, my stepmom, my sister, my brother-in-law, all were working with Steve at his first job out of college, like 15 to 20 years before me and him ever knew each other.
That's like, what do they call it? Serendipitous or whatever.
Yeah.
Fate. That is bizarre. That is so cool. Well, you guys are just meant to be buds, partners. Other partners.
Yeah,
business partners, honey.
Okay. All right.
Don't deny it.
We're
Don't
not
deny
meant
it.
to
You
be
can't deny
partners.
that.
That's what you got to say in front of Brandy. I know.
Even though we are willing to learn.
Like to have fun, just saying.
Not that kind of fun, Steve-O.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't knock it till you try it.
Shut your mouth, boy.
Oh, well, Steve likes to gamble. Man, are you a
Among
wizard?
other things.
Are you a wizard at the gambling table? My gosh, what were we at the casino for? Like what, 5 seconds, and you'd won like $400 or something crazy? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm
Was it
exaggerating,
Evansville?
but Evansville. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, of course, but my gosh, I was like,
Well, he told me I know what to play, and he played. I mean, you were watching him, and he was like, "Told you, I told you," and he started dancing around, and money started going up. So,
oh my gosh, we have 2 minutes left. How's it go so fast?
all right. So, what do we, honey? Do you want to promote anything?
We're going to be at the frankencon.
Yes, well, I'll be in FrankenCon in May.
Yeah.
I don't know if Steve's coming, but he may decide to show up.
Okay. That'll be fun.
Me and Steve are going to be in Jackson, Tennessee, where he lives now, at the Misfit Market Expo this weekend. It's not a con.
Do you guys do something every weekend? My gosh,
I
need a booth so I can get out every weekend.
Well, I decided, and I just recently told Steve this, because last year was so bad. I decided to do 4 shows this month because people don't have money, but this is tax return time. So yeah. So
it's also a time to pay taxes too. So
yes, which me and Brandy always do.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve got a big tax return this year.
Oh my goodness.
And I paid. I got $100. I managed to get it right. I don't know. And it's
my
crazy.
goodness. So what's the name? What's the name of your booth?
Broodal Arts and Collectibles.
Yeah, Broodal Arts and Collectibles. And how do they find out which conventions you're at?
Go on Facebook, Broodal Arts and Collectibles, Instagram, Broodal Arts, all lowercase.
And you guys have really cool, unique stuff.
Steve has his own website that Steve likes feet in mayonnaise.com.
Oh, yeah, all right.
You've been browsing my OnlyFans, I see.
Little fetish thing going on there, Steve.
Platinum.
Oh my gosh.
Down to
1 minute.
Too.
We got 1 minute.
All right.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we'll see you guys at the FrankenCon. I'll see you guys. I won't see you then. Y'all are having fun without me. I'm jealous. But anyway, it's all right.
Well, we're gonna all get together this year at some point.
We'll do it. All right. Well, thank you guys. Sorry it's such a short time. Love you.
No problem. And thank you again for letting me co-host. Steve, thank you for being on.
Always.
Appreciate
Love
it.
you. Thank you guys. All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna go take a nap.
All right.
Good night. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.